There was a time when brushing your teeth wasn't part of the morning routine. Yes, you heard that right. Most people simply didn't brush. So how did we get here? How did brushing your teeth become something almost everyone does every single morning? Was it really just about health? Or was there something else? A clever marketing strategy working behind the scenes? Imagine this, a company slowly convincing people that if they didn't brush, their breath would offend others, their smile would feel embarrassing, and their confidence would suffer, not by force, but by changing habits, one small idea at a time. Today, you'll discover how one company didn't just sell toothpaste. They changed human behavior and created a daily habit that spread across the entire world. Today, what we consider completely normal was once something very unusual, something so normal we don't even think about it anymore. But if we go back in time, things looked completely different. Before the 1800s, people didn't clean their teeth the way we do today. There were no modern toothbrushes, no toothpaste tubes. Instead, people used salt, charcoal, and herbal powders to clean their teeth. Some even chewed on tree sticks, using natural fibers to remove dirt from their teeth. And because of this, brushing your teeth was not a daily habit. In fact, for most people at that time, it wasn't even considered necessary. And then, in the middle of this era, in the year 1806, a man named William Colgate started a small business in New York. But here's the interesting part. He wasn't making toothpaste. He wasn't even thinking about oral care at all. Instead, he focused on simple everyday products, soap and candles, basic necessities for everyday life in early America. At that time, toothpaste didn't exist in his world, and the idea of a daily brushing habit was still far away from becoming reality. But little did anyone know, this small beginning would one day lead to a global habit that billions of people follow every single morning. But as time went on, something slowly began to change. People started to notice that dental problems were becoming more and more common. Tooth pain, tooth decay, and bad breath. These problems were no longer rare. They were becoming a part of everyday life. Families were suffering, children were complaining, and adults were struggling with constant discomfort. And with this growing problem, a new opportunity was quietly forming, waiting for the right moment. Then, in the year 1873, Colgate introduced its very first toothpaste to the market. But here's the surprising part. It didn't look anything like the toothpaste we use today. There were no plastic tubes, no colorful packaging, no modern branding. Instead, the toothpaste was sold in small glass jars, simple, plain, and very unfamiliar to most people at the time. But surprisingly, people didn't rush to buy it. There was no excitement, no long lines, no strong demand. Because in their minds, the old methods still worked just fine. Salt, charcoal, herbal powders. These traditional methods had been trusted for generations. So people asked themselves, why change now? Why trust something new when the old way had worked for so many years? And this was where the real challenge began. It wasn't just about creating a product. It was about changing a habit that had existed for hundreds of years, deeply rooted in everyday life. Because changing human behavior is always harder than creating a product. But slowly, quietly, things were about to shift in a way no one expected. And soon, a simple product would turn into a global daily routine. And that's when companies began to realize something very important. It wasn't enough to simply create a product. Making something new didn't guarantee that people would use it, because people don't change easily. They trust what they already know. So companies understood, if they truly wanted success, they had to do something different. They had to convince people that this new product was not just useful, but necessary. Necessary for their health, necessary for their confidence, necessary for their daily life. And from this realization, a completely new era was born. An era that would change business forever. The era of modern advertising. For the first time, companies didn't just sell products. They began to sell ideas. They began to sell beliefs. They began to shape how people think, how people feel, and even how people behave. Advertising was no longer just about information. It became about persuasion, about influence, about making people feel that, without a certain product, something was missing from their life. And this shift would soon change how the entire world looked at everyday habits. Because from this moment on, products were no longer just created. They were introduced with stories, with emotions, and with powerful messages, designed to stay inside people's minds for years to come. Soon, companies discovered one powerful truth. People don't buy a product unless they believe they have a problem. And once they understood this, advertising began to change. Messages became stronger, more emotional, and sometimes more frightening. Advertisements started showing uncomfortable situations, bad breath, yellow teeth, and awkward smiles. This idea, this quiet fear, slowly began to settle inside people's minds. Not overnight, but little by little. Day after day, advertisements repeated the same message. Clean teeth meant confidence, fresh breath meant acceptance, and dirty teeth meant embarrassment. And as this fear continued to grow, something remarkable happened. Brushing teeth was no longer just an option. It became a daily habit, a routine people followed every single morning. Not just for health, but for confidence, for acceptance, and for peace of mind. Images of people covering their mouths, or others stepping back in silent discomfort. And the message was clear. If you didn't keep your teeth clean, people might avoid you. They might not want to stand close to you, or even talk to you. Then, in the year 1896, a major breakthrough changed everything. Colgate introduced something completely new: toothpaste in a tube. Now this may sound simple today, but back then, it was a revolutionary idea. Until that moment, toothpaste had been sold in heavy glass jars, messy to use, hard to carry, and not very convenient for everyday life. But the tube changed the experience entirely. It was clean, it was simple, and most importantly, it was easy to use. With just one squeeze, people could get the perfect amount of toothpaste, no mess, and no wasted product, and no complicated steps. And suddenly, using toothpaste became faster, easier, and far more practical for daily routines. People who once ignored toothpaste now found it convenient to use every single day. And this small innovation, this one simple change, did something incredible. It didn't just improve a product, it transformed the entire market. From that moment on, toothpaste was no longer an occasional product. It became a daily necessity in homes across the country. And this is where the most powerful force came into play. Habit. Not technology, not packaging, but repetition. Advertisements began to send simple messages again and again and again. Brush your teeth as soon as you wake up. Brush your teeth before you go to bed. The same words, repeated every day. In newspapers, on posters, and in people's homes. And slowly, without people even realizing it, their brains began to build a routine. Morning, brush your teeth. Night, brush your teeth. Day after day, year after year. This simple action became automatic. And today, we don't even stop to ask ourselves why we brush our teeth. Because now, it's no longer a choice. It's a habit deeply built into our daily lives. Today, almost every person in the world uses toothpaste every single day. It has become one of the most common morning routines on Earth. But here's a question worth thinking about. Is it really just about protecting your health? Or is it one of the greatest examples of advertising and habit creation in human history? Because what started as a simple product slowly turned into a daily ritual followed by billions of people. And the next time you wake up in the morning and reach for your toothbrush, pause for just a second and ask yourself, is this habit truly yours, or was it carefully planted inside your mind by someone else?